Well, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are going to be tackling this tank. I've got my coffee and I'm ready to go here. So I'm going to be doing a rescape. So the first things first, obviously got to get the lid off and all the plants out, the couple little decorations that I have in there, and then catch the fish, or at least try to catch the fish. So let me get some of this taken care of here. I suppose I should say before I get started, I'm already prepped. Right below the camera, I have a bucket. It has treated water in it. It is room temperature, same temperature as the tank. I will be getting the filter out of the tank here. It's going to go straight into the bucket, in there with the fish and the plants and all that. It's going to be way too much for the amount of water that's in there, but that'll just keep the filter going while I'm doing this, and we'll go from there. And some of this water from in the tank here is also going to go in, just so it's not as big of a change for the fish. But we're getting this done. We're getting this done tonight. Everything will be going back in, rescaped. At least that's the plan here for this evening. And we'll be dosing the water, going back in, adding beneficial bacteria, all that kind of stuff. And then of course I've got my testing supplies, so I can test the water, make sure everything's going smoothly after we've adjusted it. So let me get some of this stuff taken apart. When you come back, we'll have some of it out. Alright, I had to stop for a second, bring it back. So the fish that are still in here, obviously not nearly as many as I thought. And somebody, again, I won't point fingers too much, but somebody is awful pudgy. All the plants are out, the decorations are out. All of this, it's kind of hard to see with that reflection, isn't it? I apologize. All of this over here is all roots from the pothos that I have going around the tank here usually. That is all going to stay in there. I just have to get everything out. All of this is going to get a good cleaning, and I just thought I'd show you the stocking level now that all the stuff's out and they can't really hide. There's the white cloud, the one white cloud that's left. So I'm going to get them out now, get some of this water out into the bucket as well for them, and then we're going to get this cleaned up and we're going to start scaping. So I'll bring you back when I've got a tank that is ready to go to get started. So tank is all cleaned out. We have a fresh, I'm not going to call it a canvas because I don't feel like an artist, but we've got a fresh tank ready to go. Fish are doing good. It's probably only been about half hour since I took them out. So let's go ahead and get this scaped, and we'll get them back in there into their newly remodeled home here momentarily. First thing first, I'm going to be adding some fluval. Let's see if I can do this here. I did cut the top of that as fluval stratum. It is just some aqua soil. It is doing wonders for the tank beside us here. Let me see if I can twist. So that's the little guppy tank. It's another 5-gallon tank. The aqua soil, you can see kind of the darker layer back here, and the plants are just loving it. I've had to trim this tank I don't know how many times. It's been set up for about 1.5 years now, and I mean the plants are just still going like crazy. This tank prior to this only had gravel, so we're going to add some of the aqua soil in, and the plants will, I'm sure, be so much happier for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour some in, and I'm going to try and keep it pushed towards the back That way when I do get the gravel in, it's going to be kind of at an angle. It's a small 5-gallon tank. I'm not expecting to create a huge perception of depth on here, but that'll help make the tank look a little bit bigger at least. The tank itself, like I just mentioned, 5-gallon. It is from Walmart. I have no clue what I paid for it because I've had it for 19, 20 years, something like that. It was something I bought while I was still active duty in the Navy, and I wanted something that I could, enjoy. And the 5-gallon was easy enough for me to handle at that point. So I've had it forever. I'm sure they still make something similar. It is bow front here. So let's just go ahead and get the aqua soil in, and then we'll get the gravel in, and then we can get to the fun part, which is getting the aquascape going. Well, I forgot that was in there. Oh, we're keeping that in the video for sure. Okay, so like I said, I got the gravel in. I didn't bring you along for that because it was just a couple of trips grabbing scoops from where I cleaned them. I do not have it pushed back over top of the aqua soil because I want to get the pothos roots in there before I start actually, planting the other stuff, because the roots on the pothos are just, well, it's just a ton of roots. They were just, those two plants were just loving life in there. So let me get those. Okay, you see what I mean about the roots? Oh, and I've got it wrapped around the leg of my camera thing here. Tripod, that's the word. Use your words. So, and don't worry, I will be making the plant look better than that here once I get everything situated. So those are in. I'm going to have to make that section a little bit higher because we've got the decoration here. It is going to go over here in this corner, and I'm going to face it out this way, I think. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking it's too much here, but what do you say we start decorating and planting? Actually, first, before I get too far, if you are doing a tank and you're kind of new to this, having something like pothos in your tank is going to really help you out with your nitrates and stuff like that. It's going to really help keep your water nice and clean and good for the fish. I am just using gravel here, obviously. The aqua soil's underneath. I do anticipate there being some nutrients coming out through that. So I'll be keeping an eye on things, doing water testing. I've got the API testers. Be doing that. If you're doing something like this and you're new to it, you need to make sure you're testing pretty regularly, just so that you're doing the best thing that you can for your fish. You want them to be happy and healthy, and if you don't keep on top of testing, you get a lot of nutrients in the system, you end up with algae, and then you just get frustrated, and that's how a lot of people kind of lose interest, because then they're just constantly fighting algae. So make sure you're on with the testing, doing your water changes as you need to, and if you can, A lot of these plants that I have that I'll be putting in there started from, actually came from PetSmart in little containers. Their PetSmart usually sells them for like 10 bucks, at least in this area. We don't really have a lot of dedicated aquarium shops here. I wish they did. It'd be nice to, if you ever watch, Fish Shop Matt or MD Fish Tanks or MJ Aquascaping, some of those channels, Katie Cichlids, where they go to some of these amazing shops and you can see all the stuff that they have. If you can't get to that kind of thing, you don't have it in your area, something like just doing your regular water testing, water changes as you need to, and then having something growing out of the tank like your pothos is gonna help you. So with that in mind, let's start getting some stuff in there. Now, I wasn't sure about putting this back in, but I decided the other day that the little dwarf African frog that we have, he really likes to hide in there and just likes to, stare out and judge the world. So this is going back in there. It's just hollow, nothing to it. And I think I'm gonna put it over here on this side. The downside of this is it takes up a massive footprint in the tank, but that's okay. We're gonna work around it. He likes hiding underneath it, so you gotta do what you gotta do to keep your plants and animals happy, right? Alright, so we've got that in. I'm gonna start getting some plants in. I know some people like filling the tank up and then doing the stem plants and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to. I think it's just going to be easier for this small tank to be able to get this stuff in where I want it without having to, play through the water as well. Maybe I'm going to be wrong, but you know what? That's how we're going to find out. So, one thing I do have that I didn't mention, little water bottle, so I can keep the plants wet. They're used to being in the water. I've got them in the bucket. I'm going to try and get this planted as quickly as I can. And, well, I'll probably just speed up through this process while I'm getting this taken care of. That way you can see it all get planted, but not have it take as long as it's probably going to take me to do. So, let me possibly throw some little background music in here, maybe. I don't know, we'll see what I can find, and get to planting. Alright, so that's stem plants, Echinodorus, some, oh, my brain just stopped working. I can't think of what this one's called. Dwarf Sag, there it is. So, got that. There was this much. That's it. That is all that's left of the dwarf hairgrass that I tried putting in here. Like, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years ago. So, we're just gonna stick it right in the middle there. If it grows, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Not everything works, and I'm gonna keep things real here on the channel. and make sure you see that. Now I've got some, I'm going to keep this watered. I have some moss to deal with. I'm not going to bring you along for that. I've done it before on some of the other videos I've done. Basically, I'm just going to take some of the moss, and I've got some super glued gel that is fish safe. And I'm just going to re-glue it because it was starting to come off. And I kind of want the moss on to basically to stay on the rocks like I have in the guppy tank, instead of just floating around everywhere. I might trim another piece or two of the cardinalis to go back here, just so I have something a little bit taller sticking out of there, back there. But I don't know, I might let it just grow and then have the red just kind of pop up from behind there. I don't know, we'll see what I decide to do here in the next 10 minutes. And then I've got the boost philandra to put in there. Then it's putting the filter back in, getting the water in, treating the water, and getting the fish back in. So nice and quick on this one, I think. I'll bring it back as soon as I'm ready to get the moss and the boost philandra in. Alright, so the moss is ready, I think, and I'm pretty sure I've got just about all the moss off the boost philandra. So I'm going to start getting that in. Now I'm not really burying the boost philandra. It is an epiphyte, so it can just pull the nutrients straight out of the water. I'm just kind of burying the rocks that I have them glued to. Which one? Make like a little path there for that little African frog to go in, and I missed some moss on this one. And while I was going through this, I happened to have a little, tiny little baby Java fern. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to put it somewhere. I just don't know where yet. So I think I'm gonna put it in another tank for the moment, and you guys tell me in the comments where you think I should put it, or if I should just leave it out of this tank. And that's how we're gonna do it. So let me give everything another spray. Almost emptied this bottle. Let me get the moss. Alright, moss, it is actually glued to rocks. It's about the only hardscape I've got in here, but you're not going to be able to see it because of all the moss. But I like having it glued to the moss, I like having the moss glued to the moss. Gosh, I'm apparently tired. I like having it glued to the rocks because then I can, just like with the guppy tank, I can just pick the rock up, trim it, and then put it back. I'm going to put one right up front here. I kind of want this tall one to be standing upright. And I might need to, I think I'm going to move this because I can already see that the moss is going to want to get mixed into all that. Now where to put this? So we have our Java moss here. Got Boost Philandra here in the front. We have our Pothos here in the back. Our Rotala Hatra. Got an Echinodorus here. Our Arternanthera cardinalis right back here. I'm not going to put any more tall ones in because it's going to grow and I'm going to have to trim it anyway, so I'll just let it grow in. We've got another smaller Echinodorus right here. The only thing I have left that I don't have in is potentially that little Java fern. Like I said, leave me know in the comments what you think. Otherwise, I think it's time I get the filter back in and get some water in this tank. So let's get to doing that. Alright, we're back. I finally have all the water in. Took forever. Kind of looks like what I pictured in my mind. Let's get the filter out of the bucket with the fish, and then we're going to get the fish in and the light back on, and I'll get the Pothos reattached to the wall and around the tank and stuff, and then we'll take a look at it. So let me get the filter in. I'm going to get the light on so we can kind of see what we're doing here a little bit. Oh, wrap around the tripod. Now, obviously that's not the light's going to go, but I wanted to get the light on the tank real quick. Something I have not done is I have not treated the water. So that's going to kick out a bunch of air bubbles. Let's go ahead and treat the water. Now it's not a sponsored video or anything. My channel is way too small to have sponsors. But I am using API Aqua Essentials. Make sure when you're using this stuff, you give it a good shake before you use it. And this is hardly any at all to treat the water. Might have been a little bit more than 1 mil, but maybe 1.25 mils there. And then I'm also, because everything is, the plants will have the beneficial bacteria on them, but we cleaned out the gravel, we cleaned off the little cave thing. Filter should be fine, but just to make sure that the tank is up and running, good to go, I'm also going to be throwing in some API Quick Start. Tiny bottle. It's going to last me a long time. Again, you're going to shake before you use it, and this one is 10 mil per 10 gallon. So I'm actually going to need a little bit more than this than in that last one. Kind of hard to see the line, but there's our beneficial bacteria, and I need to get the fish in. Now, unfortunately, not all of the fish are going to be making it back in. I had two of them get stuck to the filter while I was doing this, and I did not notice while I was taking care of the tank. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're gonna revive. I'm not gonna give up hope on them, but I should have been paying better attention, so that's on me. And I want to keep things real with you guys. Want you to know what's going on. It sucks, but unfortunately it happened. I can't do anything about it to fix it. But I am going to get the other fish out of this because, you know, if they're not going to make it, then they're not going to make it. And I don't need to have the other fish in there while they're struggling there. So let me net some of these guys out and we'll get them in. I'm going to try and do this quick, but again, I'm using a square net in a round bucket, so it might not be as fast as I want it to be. And first one is my one white cloud that is left. You didn't want in the net, now you won't get out. Come on. So there'll be a little bit of stress. Won't have all of his color, but that should come back. Okay, and we have one of my red tetra. I'm just going to get them in as I catch them. That was fun. Okay, I didn't want to catch him by hand, but is come on. Turn around. Alright, so that is basically everybody. Let me give them a minute to settle in and see what I can figure out with these two that are still in here. Alright, we're back. I've given them a little while to get comfortable. Their color is starting to come back. The white cloud is basically back to normal already. My little neon down here is the last one. I was unable to revive the other two. You hate to see it. It was my fault because I wasn't keeping an eye on the bucket while I was trying to plant everything and get the water in, and they got stuck to the filter. It's not a very powerful filter. I'll leave a link in the description for it. I actually have it in the guppy tank beside this. I like it. That's the first time I've ever experienced it. I've got two of them, and gosh, that's been 1.5 years since I bought the first one. So just stress from being in the bucket. You know, it happens. I'm not gonna run out and buy 2 neons and put them in there and hope you guys don't notice. This channel is about keeping it real and doing what I can do on a budget, because let's face it, this can be an expensive hobby, and I want to keep things as real as I can for you guys. Plants are in, fish are in, they're swimming around, trying to figure out their little pecking order again. As you can see, they'll find their little places. They're exploring a little bit. I am going to put a little bit of food in there for them, just to make them a little bit more comfortable. Our little African frog is down here around the back. He's not hiding where I thought he was going to, because why would he? But I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of food in, and I'm just going to leave you with a little bit of video with some sound, some little bit of music to go with it. Thanks for joining me on this one. I hope you like the tank. It kind of looks like what I had pictured in my head. Not exactly, but we'll get there. I'll bring you back again here after a little while when the plants start really settling in, and maybe do a trim and get some more planted, give that more of a full look. But thank you guys if you made it this far. I really appreciate you watching. If you are part of the group that watches this and hasn't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe, follow, whatever it is, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support, and I hope to see everybody here again on the next one.